Good morning to you. Thursday, January 6th edition of the Carolina Weather Video here, and a lot to talk about. Folks already buzzing about the potential for the winter weather event early next week. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about that here as this video unfolds. Let's talk about the weather kind of leading up to that first, and then I'll spend the bulk of the video on early next week. The weak system that pressed through the region last night, departing at the point I'm cutting this video. Still were some lingering winter weather advisories in effect over parts of the Virginias down into the North Carolina mountains. Temperature-wise, at the point I was cutting this video, everybody was above freezing across the Piedmont, so there were really no problems with the folks that saw some flakes in the air. And today, a pretty quiet day. We'll see highs in the 40s under a partly cloudy sky. There's that cold air, boy. It's just kind of looming up there, and it looks like the floodgates of cold air are going to be opened next week behind the potential winter storm early in the week. Now, here's the upper air chart today. This is the early weak system right here, sitting off the California coast. But before that one gets here, though, we have a couple more weak systems that'll dive southeast in this northwest flow. They're pretty weak, pretty moisture-starved, but I can't rule out a flake or two with the disturbances. Timing there's pretty tough. I think one's tonight, though, and one is tomorrow night. But, again, moisture looks very, very limited. Let me take you through the GFS over the next few days. This is the 0Z run. Today, like I mentioned, upper side of the 40s, maybe some mid-40s in the Piedmont, partly cloudy sky. Tomorrow, probably mid to lower 40s. It's going to be breezy. The winds will pick up a bit, kind of a chilly day. A good bit of cloud cover around off and on through the day as well. Saturday, looks like low 40s for most Piedmont highs, still kind of breezy, kind of a chilly day. And Sunday, there comes the next system. Now I'm going to step you through the GFS first. And the 6Z run is in relatively good agreement with what the 0Z panels are going to show you here. All right, GFS. 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the low southeast of Houston. By 1 o'clock Monday afternoon, the low is over the Florida Panhandle. There's the precip, continuing to spread into the Carolinas. And 6 hours later, the low eases northeast. Same deal by 1 a.m. Tuesday. And there it goes near the Outer Banks, 7 a.m. Tuesday. And then it gets off the southern New England coast after that. And there comes the bitterly cold Arctic air. Now again, there is our disturbance right now. It is still way out there, but it's potent. And if history this season has taught us any lessons, it's that this system is going to probably wind up being stronger than a lot of the modeling has been indicating. Now I think the European and the Canadian have gotten onto the right idea with the strength of this as it moves across. The GFS is still much weaker with it. Let's go up to 500 millibars. Now this is all the way out at Sunday evening, 7 o'clock Sunday evening. Okay, now this is the Canadian model. This is the feature to watch right here. Check that out. All right, that is the Canadian. There's the European. Tremendous agreement with how that looks. The same time frame on the GFS, not so much. But strangely enough, the GFS still does manage to pop a pretty good surface low, as even though this is dampening out, it interacts with some other upper air features and still manages to crank a surface low. But as far as which model is purely handling this most correctly, I would lean with the European or the Canadian, and probably more along the lines of the European. Now, a lot of folks look at the Canadian this morning and think, oh, that looks pretty warm. Let me take you through how it looks. And all right, here we are. This surface low over, I don't know, Vicksburg here at 7 o'clock in the evening Sunday. And this turns into kind of a hybrid Miller B event again on the Canadian. Notice the strong wedging. That wedging very important because the charts here, when you just look at the 540 line, are going to be very deceiving. That's why you cannot just look at the 540 line. In fact, I'll be honest, I hardly ever even care where the 540 line is. I look much more at thicknesses and some of the other temperatures of specific levels of the atmosphere. And here we go at 7 o'clock Monday evening. I mean, that's just a Miller B-ish looking deal there, where you get a secondary low popping here along the coast. A lot of precip on the back side of this. So again, you look at that. If you were to just look at that and not look any further, you think, well, that's a pretty warm run. Not so fast. That's how it looks when you apply all the levels of the atmosphere into the equation. And that, taken at face value, the Canadian is a big-time snowstorm from northeast Georgia, northern South Carolina, into North Carolina. And that ice kind of works north toward the end of the event, but it is a significant winter weather event. All right, let's go to the European. Okay, here we are, 1 a.m. Monday, 7 a.m. Monday. And the European kind of wants to do a hybrid Miller B-ish kind of thing too. It's not a Miller B where you have a low going up west of the mountains and then a secondary popping, but it is one where you see the low kind of redevelop here off of the coast. Strong wedging also evident there on the European. Okay, one more time frame here out, and the coastal low definitely is the dominant feature in time. So no, the Miller B, the European rather, is not a true Miller B by any means, but it is showing some type of redevelopment. Let me step through this again. Watch that low. All right, here it comes, and then you see the low energy kind of transfers to the coast. All right, so with all that said, where do we stand? Well, I think the potential is pretty high for a winter weather event across parts of the region, beginning Sunday night, continuing Monday, tapering off by early Tuesday. Now, the specifics, of course, are still impossible to determine at this stage in the game. We're talking about a disturbances out over the Pacific Ocean right now. So there could be a lot of changes. But I really think this is going to be a deal. This is a little bit different from the Christmas weekend storm. We're not relying on phasing of two branches to really get this going. A lot of this is just the southern branch feature for a lot of the duration of this event. So this one theoretically should be a little bit easier to forecast and should have less swings in the modeling here as we go through time. But with that said, that's out there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There's not a lot of data that goes into that. But again, I'm kind of leaning toward the scenario here of at least the potential of a pretty good winter weather event, especially North Georgia, upstate South Carolina, into a good chunk of North Carolina, maybe down to the central parts of South Carolina, and even down to maybe a Columbia area, and even down further south into Georgia, possibly, depending on how strong the cold air damming is when this gets here. So, and I don't want to underestimate this. It looks like a big blast of cold air behind the system next week. All right, so that's how it stands now. A lot of interesting things to watch. I guess it's about time to pick up more than one update day on the blog if I can, if time allows. So keep checking back with the blog, and I'll keep my thoughts updated. Also follow the Facebook and Twitter feeds there that are linked on the right-hand side of the blog as well. All right, have a great day, and God bless.